Nikki, and today I'm here with the March. What is it? March? Is it? I don't know. Excuse me. Wrap up. I read more books this month than any other month, so I'm very proud of myself. I'm currently in the middle-ish of The Murder of Helen Jewett, and I don't think I'll finish it by the end of the month. I just thought I'd bring it up. So, let's talk about the books I did read. I read Homeland by R.A. Salvatore. I think it's Tor and not Tori. Salvatore. This is the first book in the Dark Elf trilogy and the first book about Drizzt. There's two Z's, and I always want to say Drizzt, but the Forgotten Realms Wikipedia says it sounds like an S. So Drizzt Do'Urden. Butchered it. He is a... I think this is set... Yeah, this is set in sort of the same universe as the Dragonlance books, but I think this one is probably easier to get into because it explains pretty much everything. Drizzt is a dark elf who are supposed to be evil. I was going to say quotes, but they are evil except for Drizzt. And they live underground, like deep underground. They think the sun will kill you, which it might blind them because their eyes are specifically designed to live underground. There's lots of underground things. It is pretty violent. There is murder. Murder of siblings, murder of children off screen. Drizzt is tortured. It's a matriarchal society, and Drizzt is the second son, so he gets treated like shit, which comes to bite them in the ass because he is not like his family. He doesn't want to kill people just for the sake of killing, and he is a master of weaponry. This right here is his scimitar, and he has two of them, and he's very, very good. There's abuse of Drizzt, basically, by his family. And then he gets his little friend, Guinevere, I think. I always want to say Guinevere. Huvar, I'm not sure. She's a little panther who's on the astral plane and becomes his friend. And this is just basically about him growing up and how he basically bucks his family and he gets his best friend. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to... I read it once, but I didn't remember anything, so I can't wait to read the rest of this series. Where I put this? It's gonna be a mess. This is not the order I read them in, this is just the order they're stacked in. Next I read Cynical Inheritance by Miriam Grace Manfredo. A Glynis Tryon mystery. I guess you would say this is a cozy mystery. It's set in Seneca Falls, New York, in 1848, and that is when the anniversary of the first Women's Rights Convention happened, and there is a murder, and it's up to Glynis to solve it with the help of... It's a small town at the time, Seneca Falls. I don't know if it's a bigger town now. And it's 1848, so there's not really like a police station. He's just sort of like a dude. She's a librarian, and a woman comes to town and is later then found murdered. And secrets of the town come out, that type of thing. And what else? There is some misogyny from the male characters, which would be period typical, and Glynis is sort of like, yeah, and she's of her time, I think, but she's not like a feminist now, but she was a feminist of her time. Maybe a feminist now, I'm not 100% sure. I liked her. She's more free-thinking, as it says on the back, than probably anybody else in town. Maybe even Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who is in the book. So there's misogyny. There's not shown in the book, but a man is implied to beat his wife because he's the husband and that's what he can do, type of thing. But yes, I very much enjoyed it. I will read the second one. And I really enjoyed the ending. I thought it was a great ending. And it even has historical notes. So, yes. Yeah. I just liked it. I don't want to spoil too much. But, yeah. It was a good time. Next I read The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which is book 3 in the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. This has Lucy and Edmund and their cousin Eustace? Yeah, Eustace, who's a dick. And then he's not. And Prince Caspian is a bit more grown up. This was made into a movie. I think this is the last one to be made into a movie. But I believe The Silver Chair, which is the next one, was made into a BBC production, which I remember watching on PBS. And I think that is the last one made of anything. Yeah, it's just sort of more adventures in Narnia. Nothing too dramatic happens. I mean, they're just sort of bouncing around at the edge of the world to find some lords that were loyal to Caspian's father that his uncle then kicked out. And he eventually finds them all in various states of health. Then the kids go home and Eustace is a nice guy again. Well, not again, he was a dick. But he's nice. And I believe he's in The Silver Chair. With a new character. So, yeah, it was just a fun little book. I think I read it in a day. It was only 200 pages. Then I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Apparently there's a sequel to this. What else have I read by Jules Verne? I know there's books. So basically I've read Around the World in 80 Days? I've definitely seen the movie, one of them, the first one, I think. I read Journey to the Center of the Earth. Let me Google him. And I don't know if I read Around the World in 80 Days. I might have just seen the movie, but I did read Journey to the Center of the Earth. Where this works. And I don't know if I've read anything else, but most of his stuff was written, I think, in sections. So it could be in newspapers, and it was, of course, originally written in French, because he was French. He also wrote The Mysterious Island, which is the sequel to this, which I have not read. What else? From the Earth to the Moon, which they made a movie about. And other adventure books, and I think they're just written sort of chapter by chapter type of thing. Anyway, I didn't like this as much until it's broken up into parts. 4 parts maybe? 3 parts? I can't remember now. And I didn't really like it until the end, because most of the book is our main character, who is not Captain Nemo, Pierre Aronnax, who's like a marine biologist type of guy, and Nemo's ship has been sighted, and everybody's like, is it a monster? What is it? So Aronnax and his assistant go on a U.S. warship and then get pushed off because there's a storm with a Ned Land, who was also on the ship, and they get picked up by Nemo's submarine, and a lot of it is science-y stuff that I'm not interested in. I don't really care. I don't like the ocean, especially the deep ocean. So that's not very interesting to me, but I know why people would find it interesting, especially since this was originally published in somewhere like 1869. In 1870, so like submarines that could go that deep, Nemo basically went like to the bottom of the ocean sometimes and like walked on the sand, and Aronnax is like, oh yeah, we saw this and this, and everybody's like, well, we made it up, and then they find it. Like, there's a TV show that was back in the 90s where there's like a Jules Verne, it is Jules Verne, and he has like, he's an artist, and whatever he draws is, he like sees the future, which is understandable because everything he writes is then in submarines in the future. And like, I mean, he was obviously wrong about Journey to the Center of the Earth, but whatever, because there's not dinosaurs in the center of the Earth, but you know what I mean? So yeah, that wasn't as interesting because it was a lot of science-y talk. And I thought Captain Nemo was going to be like an anti-hero, because I think he was in the movie with Kirk Douglas. That's the only one I can remember. But he was just kind of a dick. Like, he's got his reasons. There's some backstory about why he's living on a submarine and he never wants to touch land again. But then he's also kind of a dick. And I didn't really like him. So, it was sort of meh to me. It wasn't as good as Journey to the Center of the Earth. So, that's my opinion. Next is Birds of a Feather by Jacqueline Winspear. This is the second in the Maisie Dobbs series. This is set in 1930 London. Maisie was a nurse in World War I. And she grew up as like the maid of a rich lady who was like, oh damn, you're smart. And in the same town was like a doctor who's a psychiatrist, kind of. And so Maisie goes to college because of them, and everybody's very supportive of her in this endeavor. And she is a private detective using the psychology and all this stuff that she learned. And in this one, an heiress goes missing, and then 3 of her friends are found dead. And Maisie has to find out why. And I was reading this and I go, oh, it's kind of like that. And I don't want to spoil it by telling you what it was like, but once something is mentioned, if you have read another book, that also perhaps has feather in the title, you can, you can't see where it's going, but it all makes a little bit more sense before it is explained to you. I do like Maisie. She has a helper, Billy, I think, who was also in the war, and she helped him. And she has, there's a cop who is respects her and what she does. He doesn't really make fun of her. So, but I don't think I'll continue the series because I did look up where it goes and people were like, eh. So yeah, I don't want to be disappointed. Next I had Fire and Heist by Sarah Beth Durst. This is a standalone urban fantasy about were-dragons. I thought this was going to have a love triangle, and it almost did, but it doesn't. But there is romance in it, and it is about Sky Hawkins, who is a teenager, and her family, because they're dragons, they steal treasure. And her mom fucked up, and basically now her mom is gone and her family is on the downward, and they live with humans, so humans know they exist, blah blah blah. So now Sky wants to know what the hell happened, and she goes and tries to steal the thing her mom tried to steal, but it turns out there's more to it than that. So it is a heist novel, but the heist is about maybe halfway through the book, and then it becomes something different, but just as fine. And yeah, I liked the ending. It was interesting. I don't it was okay. I think I gave it 3 stars. Sky was fine. She was a teenager, so a bit, you know, annoying as teenagers are. And I really liked her human friend, Gabriella. She was a lot of fun. And Sky has some brothers who were fine. You know, it was just a fine book. It was a good, fun read. And, you know, it's not very long. So, yeah, give it a shot. And the final book is My Contrary Mary by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is the start of the Mary series, which is a sequel to their Janie series, but it's also a sequel to My Lady Jane. It's set in the same universe where certain people, instead of Catholic and Protestant, it is you can turn into an animal or you can't turn into an animal. This is not historically accurate at all after a certain point, or maybe even since the beginning, because Mary goes with Francis, who's the French king, and then they actually get married, and I'm pretty sure they were married like before this time, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's still a fun book. There are historical inaccuracies, as I said. They know that, but they're like, this is the real story. And then there's the daughter of Nostradamus. Nostradamus, I don't think, had any children. There is romance between Aerie and a female character, and you know, the stuff happens that is sort of historically correct to characters, and then they change it so everybody gets a happy ending, which is nice. Everybody loves a happy ending. Like, Jane survived, and in real life she got her fucking head cut off. So she's in the book, which is so much fun. Yeah, because they start off in France and then go to England, and France is of course more Catholic than England at the time, and it's fun, and I enjoy it, and I can't wait for the second one, which I think is about, oof, let me find it. It is about Mary Wollstonecraft. Oh no, Mary Shelley, Ada Lovelace, and a machine that Ada has created. So again, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, since Ada was born after Mary Shelley. But I don't think they were adults at the same time, is what I'm saying. So yeah, and then they don't have a title for the third one. I think one of them was supposed to be Typhoid Mary, but because of the pandemic they decided not to do that, which is a good idea. So yes, I'm excited for that. And those are all the books I read in March. So we'll see how that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. That's 2 more than usual for me. I think it's been 5 the last couple times. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day. Oh, like, subscribe, all that jazz if you want to. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.